Do I deserve a healthy, happy sex life in our marriage? Well, I don't think we can say we deserve it as if we earned it, because we know that when it comes to sex, that's a gift that God wants to give us, and we can receive it together, and we can say, honey, this is what I would like. This is what I want. I even feel like it's a strong need, and express that to each other. But the minute I say, I deserve this, it kills any level of intimacy.
In all of the good times and even the trials, through tears and through laughter, yeah, I know that I'll smile when I think of you. Smile for the things you do. Smile, God gave me you. You are the reason I smile. Yeah.
This is Behind Our Smiles.
Pursuing connection.
And finding joy.
Even in the struggle.
Welcome back to another episode of the Behind Our Smiles Marriage Podcast. We are Joe and Tara Buchanan. We're so glad that you're hanging out with us.
Yes, it's going to be another good episode.
Yes. Well, do we deserve to have a good episode?
We deserve it after. We love being here. We don't deserve you all listen to us, but we love it anyway, and we are super grateful. And what makes us especially grateful is when you tell us what makes you smile about your husband or wife. And today we're hearing from Betsy, and she shares something amazing about her husband. She said, my husband has so many great qualities. He makes me laugh when I'm feeling sad. He has a tenderness that shows most when I deserve it the least. And that is exactly what we're trying to grow in our marriage. This idea that when we are tender with each other, when we love each other, and there's a sense of going, I don't deserve it.
Yeah, there's something about you being nice to me when I deserve it. And then there's something extraordinary about you being nice to me when I don't deserve it.
So I think part of the catch is understanding where our hearts are at within marriage. So we talked about last week what we deserve and how we look at life a lot through the lens of here's what we deserve. And God, I want these things from you, and my life should be a certain way because of things that we've done or by merit of who we are, that we feel like we deserve something.
Well, the truth is, I don't really want what I deserve, because we talked about it last week, but in Romans 3, the Bible says that we have all fallen short. We've all sinned. And then it goes on in Romans 6 to talk about this idea that the wages of sin, or the penalty of sin, what we deserve for our sin, is death. And so I'm grateful for the second half of Romans 6:23, the free gift of God. And if he owed it to us, or we deserved it, it wouldn't be a gift. And so we just talked about that and kind of unpacked that idea that I think it's Tara Lee Cobb, I like what she had to say. Deserve is saturated with the poison of entitlement. And when we're in a state or a mindset of entitlement, nothing can be a gift. And
in our marriages, then, we are not fun to live with if either of us have a sense of entitlement to anything. And so today we're kind of going to look at the word deserve and how it shows up in our marriage, and how, again, it will poison our marriage as well. And I have another quote that I like. I remember reading this quite a while ago, and it kind of stuck with me for a while. And this is from Justin Davis. He's another author who's written about marriage. And he says, most of us get married with a high sense of gratitude. But as time goes on, everything we used to be grateful for, we begin to feel entitled to. You can't simultaneously be grateful for something and feel entitled to it. So I thought that was such a great thing. We do start our relationship with gratitude. And we're kind of seeing this, with our kids entering marriage or entering the stage of developing relationships with someone they fall in love with. And we see it and we remember that feeling. Every little thing they're grateful for. Like, oh my goodness, you did this for me. Thank you. And you did everything is just saturated with gratefulness in the beginning. And then something happens along the way that the things we used to be grateful for, we suddenly feel like we are entitled to. And then that kills our ability to be grateful. And again, we're trying to grow graciousness and gratefulness this time of year. So we definitely have an issue with deserving, not we personally, but we can't personally feel like deserve slips into our marriage, either obviously or non-obviously.
Yeah, and going back to the idea that you can't be grateful and be entitled, or you can't, if you deserve, you can't have gratitude if you think you deserve it. And back to the quote from a couple of minutes ago with Tara Lee Cobb, that idea, I love that she used the word poison, because entitlement begins to poison our attitude of gratefulness and our gratitude.
Well, and so first, like we mentioned, the other quote is we stop appreciating. And obviously beginning, we appreciate things. And so some of that is, I think, a factor of laziness that we just take it for granted. And Joe, I know that I've had this with you many times, all those things I loved about you in the beginning. And then I assume that's the way you'll always be. And so therefore you always should do that. So it's not like I necessarily deserve it, but I some ways do think I deserve it. Well, of course you'll do these nice things for me because you do.
Because you love me, right?
But
because I deserve to be loved by
yes. But I think what happens in marriage is that bar to be appreciated starts to get a little higher. So in the beginning, you just like look my way and wink. And I'm grateful for you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, wow. And then it's like, well, you better at least like nod your head. And then you better, touch my shoulder. And then I need you to do this. And I'm not going to say thank you or be gracious for those small things because those are taken for granted.
And I don't think it's a conscious decision.
It's
just
our
something
human
that
nature.
does happen. I think familiarity, right? We get familiar with one another. So that becomes a part of it. But I think being able to practice that gratitude, even with the smaller things, and to keep that alive, then when you do something bigger for me, it takes on that wow factor of real sincere gratitude of going, thank you so much.
So the question that I have, and this is like an honest question I have for myself, is thinking about the role of marriage and relationships, and what is it that either we deserve in marriage, or what is it we kind of come to marriage thinking we deserve. And it's tricky because marriage is a contract of sorts. Like legally we bind ourselves to be obligated to look out for each other. But we know that in reality, we can't live our actual love story as a contract.
Yeah.
Like that contract we make really only matters if we're going to court. But day in, day out, we can treat our marriage as a sense of, I deserve this from you. But I'm thinking in my mind, what is it that I think I deserve from you as my husband, right? What does a wife deserve? And I would definitely go, well, I deserve your time and attention, right? You ignore me? How dare you, right? Like I'm entitled that you should at least spend time looking at my face and this. And then I deserve your affection too. You definitely need to make sure that you are cuddly and soft with me and you kiss me. Like I deserve this. But then as I go through this list in my head, I'm going, that list will just keep on going. Don't you feel like that way ever?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I would just go, that's all. I'd be like, well, and I deserve to be this, and I deserve your help here, and I deserve this.
Goes back to what you said earlier on. In the beginning, it would start out as a small list, but then you become familiar with those things, or those things you start to take for granted. So then you want to grow that list. Well, if you really loved me, you would do all those things, and you would do this.
And I deserve your help with this, and you deserve your help with that. But I think the root of that deserving, of why do I deserve your help, it's either A, I'm a good wife. It's never like I deserve your help because I'm bad and I'm no good and I've been ignoring you all week and I've been cruel and mean to you, so you should be nice to me. I always say you should be nice to me, right? I deserve your love and affection because I'm a good wife and I do all these good things. And so once again, that deserving mentality comes from that place of thinking that we are higher than we are. And I feel like the comparison game is always in there. Well, compared to me, you need to be as good to me as I am to you.
And sometimes it's about, well, you got to do something good, so I deserve to do something good.
You bought a TV, I'm going to buy a purse, like whatever that case may be. And as much as our marriage will never be a love story.
Yeah.
If we want a love story, if we're only giving to each other what it is we deserve.
Right. If we're keeping score.
Yeah.
Then it is not, it's not. And then the real bummer, and we talked about this a little bit last week as well, there's no way I can give you a gift. Because it's not a gift if you're owed it or you deserve it.
And here's, I think, a tricky part that we've kind of fallen into. Coming from gratitude and appreciating is, especially with me being like the typical mom figure doing all the mom things and all the kid things and all the home things. And sometimes that kind of work we know is slightly underlooked. What's the word? Overlooked? Underlooked? Underappreciated.
Yeah,
overlooked is what I'm looking at. So I think I could go to a place where I deserve to be appreciated. So I'm thinking, what does that phrase mean? I deserve to be appreciated. And so it's like the same thing. Can gratitude and deserving live in the same sentence? Right. But I think I've said that to you maybe outright sometimes, like, I deserve some appreciation around here. No one is appreciating me. But yet, if I give you that ultimatum at that point, you go, that's right. You're right. You deserve appreciation. And you give it to me.
But then if it's not right,
is that helpful to me?
No, because it's like you're doing it because I think you owe it to me, not because you're doing it
it's longer
because you love me, right?
Right. I mean, it's like when our kids are younger, hey, it's your mom's birthday. She deserves a card. And, and so then it's like, I know the card was given under duress, but now that's different because you're teaching them to appreciate. But I think there's times that it's wrong. That in your heart, like going, so even like we mentioned cards or it's my birthday, right? Or if I'm just saying from my point of view, I deserve some appreciation. I deserve a gift. I deserve some spoiling. I deserve some good things. But if you sense that I'm feeling deserving of it,
it steals the joy. It really does. If I have a nice gift planned for you, and then you tell me I deserve this, and maybe it's even more than the gift I have planned, that steals the joy. And it's like, well, why do I even bother? Why would I want to give that, right?
So when I fall into that trap for sure. But I recognize right away that, wait, this is not the path to gratitude or joy. It feels good for a moment to say, let me just sit up here and tell y'all what I deserve. And if even everyone says, okay, Mom, I'll give you what you deserve, I don't really feel necessarily, joyful and complete. But the funny thing is, I'm looking at you, Joe, and the way you operate, and you mentioned this last episode, that you struggled, especially from how you were grown up in our different childhoods, that you don't deserve anything. So you are very much good about that. Like, you're much good.
Wow, much good. Okay.
You are much good. I'm
by far from perfect with that, by the way.
Much better is the word.
I appreciate that you think I'm much good.
So when you have the mentality of I don't deserve anything and your birthday comes rolling around, you are what I will call easy to please because you have said to yourself, I don't deserve anything. Wow, you made me a bowl of buttered noodles? This is amazing. I
probably wouldn't say that was amazing, but yeah.
But that gratitude, because again, you were not raised with excess of whatever. So you have an element of, wow, anything you do for me, I'm grateful for, rather than I deserve something better than this. Well, you only made me this. Yeah. That's all you did.
Kids once asked me one time, I don't remember what you made for dinner, but it was one of the easiest dinners in the world, right? And they were like, Dad, you're like over the top grateful. Yeah. Like they literally were accusing me of being over the top grateful. I'm like, no, your mother made dinner for me. That's an amazing thing. So I think, and I don't know. It's hard because obviously if you live in a position or posture of not deserving, that's not necessarily good either. Because I think there are things that you can't have an expectation to receive a gift. Like God gave me a gift, I do have to accept it. If I walk around and say I don't deserve it, I'm not going to accept it. That's not right either. I think
to say I don't deserve this gift, but thank you for it versus you can't give it to me.
Right. And that's that's a whole nother podcast.
That's dangerous.
Right? When someone tries to pay for lunch and you won't let them, or someone tries to, yes.
So I think what the wording, and I'm a word girl, so I always like to take my words apart. And I think within marriage, we each have needs. Yeah. So even like the appreciation, I think we can say we have a need to be appreciated and to be seen. So I think that's definitely a valid need. I do need affection and attention as a woman. I do need it, and within marriage there is an element of going, this is where the affection and the attention and the love will grow. So I think I can come to you, still say, honey, I need affection from you, and you can go, oh, okay, I am in a place to give you that affection. So I can express my needs to you, to say, or I even say, I love your affection, Joe. I love when you kiss and you hug me and you hold me. Like, I want it and I need it. And that's completely good and valid. But once I switch it over to going, I deserve these good things from you.
Is that similar to like a Christmas list? Like when you ask your kids for a Christmas list and they give you a list fully knowing they don't deserve it, but you find joy in being able to give them the gift they really want.
But those are the gifts they want, not the gifts that they deserve.
Right. So I do think that there is... communication is so important. You can't sit around and expect me to read your mind. And that's back to what I was saying earlier about I don't deserve. If I get into the attitude of I don't deserve, then I may never express my need to you. And then
Yes.
you don't have the ability to have joy in meeting that need of giving me that gift.
But presenting
so I
them-
think it's back to humility, right? It's not thinking less of myself, it's thinking of myself less. So it's still important to be able to articulate that I have a need. Back to what you were saying, it's still important to be able to communicate that, but that helps us to fine tune that gift, helps us to get the gift right.
Well, the communication part here is when we're saying, here's the things in marriage that I would like, and these are things in marriage I would need, but not presenting them as demands. And I know I can come across that way. This is what I need, and you better get it for me, and I deserve it, and you must. And it's like the ability for you to then give it to me is gone. And so then we've just gone from, well, my wife deserved it, I gave it to her, and boom.
Yeah.
Like, and because there's times that's happened where I kind of like, hey, I deserve this, and you give it to me, but it's like not.
And I
not
have
the
had some
same.
healthy argumentative conversations with people about this
Yeah.
because I think, and I've kind of changed my viewpoint a little bit on this. Like, I think I can buy you a gift and in my mind say, man, she deserves this. Right? I can do that. That's okay. If I buy you a gift and say, man, you've been, man, she's been working so hard. I can give the gift in a sense of, this is well-deserved gift, right?
Yes.
It's just when the recipient comes from the attitude of,
and that's the humility part. The deserving is I'm above you
yeah,
for saying, and I think there's a famous, not famous, but a often used phrase too of like, honey, I don't deserve my wife. And that comes from a place of going, I understand that I don't consider myself better than her. I consider her to be better than me.
yeah,
And so I think that's where the healthy kind of deserve comes in. Like, I understand that she is better than me, but back to that, I think then the deserve part, this is where we get mixes of the needs and the wants, and deserving is even like sexual intimacy. We go, okay, do I deserve a healthy, happy sex life in our marriage? Well, I don't think we can say we deserve it as if we earned it, because we know that when it comes to sex, that's a gift that God wants to give us, and we can receive it together, and we could say, honey, this is what I would like. This is what I want. I even feel like it's a pretty strong need, and express that to each other. But the minute I say, I deserve this, it kills any level of intimacy. And I think expressing true desire is great. Hey, babe, this is what I would like.
Yeah.
This is what I would love. This is what I need. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can help you with that. Like, this is something that's good. But our language, when we move to the deserving language, that I've somehow earned it, I somehow better than you, right? And you owe it to me, especially with something as delicate as sex, where it's just so delicate and careful and, powerful, that if we throw a deserving element into it, it just kills the beauty of what should be giving. It
becomes contractual then.
Right.
It becomes transactional, right?
And so I think really realizing how else can I give in my marriage, right? I want to give to you. Also is I have to learn to receive. And so the more I deserve, the less I actually receive. And this is like something I just been working through. Like, do I want him to give it to me because I deserve it? Or do I want to just receive it because he loves me? And he just loves
the latter,
me.
yes.
He just loves me.
Yeah. That's how I want it. And that's the beauty of when we get our relationship right with God. That's the beauty of that. God didn't give us a gift because he owed it to us or because we somehow earned it. He gave it to us because he loved us. And that's the demonstration of love. No greater love has anyone than he who would lay down his life for his friend. So I think about what God did for us, undeserving. That's what makes the gift so amazing in the story, the greatest story ever told.
And when I give to you, not because you deserve it, but I can say, I see the incredible value in you. So if I say, I'm going to give you this gift because you deserve it, there's times I can go, honey, I appreciate the work you did this way. I want to reward you or something, or let you enjoy something. But it's not just you deserve it, but the value in saying you are valuable just because you're you, right? That God-given value in who you are. And then the deserving is killed because I go, I am not more valuable than you are.
Right.
So if at our core, who we are as people is the same, then we can't pull off but I'm a little bit better than you. I have a little bit more value than you, right? We always want to find a reason that we're a bit more valuable than our spouse and what we do is more valuable. But when we see that equal value in each other, that I think we're less likely to want to pull out our deserve card and saying, but I deserve. Again, guilty is charged sometimes, maybe not with the exact wording, but maybe with the attitude that I carry of going, but I did all this stuff. The least I can get is something.
And there's a level of pride in there too, of I deserve, I am better than you. And I've definitely been guilty of it. Where maybe I've worked a really hard day or I've had a long day and I don't see what you've accomplished. And so I can begin to think and that can be like something as simple as something on a moment by moment, or it can happen much bigger where I begin to build resentment because I see over and over what I believe to be.
Yes, deserve definitely goes to resentment.
I deserve. And so moving toward that, moving toward the posture of gratitude, I think is the best way for me anyway to undo deserve, because if I can't get to gratitude, it means I probably have a pride issue in that deserve element arena. Where if I can get to gratitude, then that means I can put to death, if you will, the deserve element.
And it's not to say we don't like work to do things that make us helpful. Like, like, okay, I can just treat someone like junk and like expect that. But I think about this, every little area in our life, in our marriage, Joe, especially, that we can just say thank you. And it doesn't mean that, I don't know, I think about like when I go to a restaurant and I order food and we pay for it, right? We have paid for our meal. And yet when the server brings the food to the table, we still want to say thank you. And we could sit there going, well, I deserve this food. I literally just paid you for it. And if you don't pay my food for me, I'm going to find your manager and get what I deserve. But even that situation where we rightfully are owed the food that we bought or whatever we're buying, right? Hey, I gave you money. I deserve this service. I paid my bill. Where's my thing I bought? Even then, and Joe, you're so good at this too, just inflicting is like a weird word. Inflicting thank you. I say inflicting can mean it's powerful, right? Yeah. Inflicting gratitude in every situation. You brought me the food that I ordered. Thank you. You answered the phone when I called you. Thank you. Your employer gave you a paycheck for work that you've done. Thank you. And it's understanding too that we may have done the work we promised to do, but when God gave me breath in my lungs and the ability to do this, everything I have is from Him. So I will still thank Him and thank the people around me that have enabled me to have a job. Thank you for my paycheck. I feel like, there's many times we miss the boat to say thank you because we think, well, this is a given.
Right.
Even like when you're in traffic and someone lets you in, thank you. Like that's a huge thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you are especially grateful, Joe. I would say you're more grateful a person I am. I think part of maybe, again, some of your upbringing and having done without for many, many parts of your lives, that you were able to see, Tara, you take this for granted. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. That person was nice to you. Don't take that for granted. That person did that. Don't take that for granted. Nothing is a given in life, right? God doesn't owe us anything. And even in our marriage, I believe I chose correctly, meaning I say that.
Thank you.
I say it meaning that God gave me that ability, right? That even from God gave me you, even though I chose you. It was still, you are still a gift. And to still say, I'm going to be grateful and not just say, well, I deserved a good husband. God, right? Give me a good one because I deserve it. So going, God, you know what? Actually, I don't bring a whole lot to the table.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you for anything you give me.
So yes, when in the spectrum of God, if we're comparing ourselves,
what
I mean by that is when we're comparing ourselves to God, we do not bring anything to the table. Right. Absolutely. Right. In our marriage, you bring a lot to the table, and I am very grateful. Very, very grateful.
But if I focus on that, if I only focus on what I bring to the table, then you're always going to somehow not.
You don't ever strike me. I say this publicly. I do feel like I won the lottery with you. I feel like you are outside of my salvation, obviously, you're the single greatest gift on the planet. My kids are right there with you, but you are the single greatest gift on the planet. And so I'm very grateful on a regular basis. I know maybe it was my upbringing or whatever, but I know I don't I don't deserve this. I know I don't, but I'm grateful for it. But it reminds me, as you were talking about, a simple little game that we used to play with the kids around the dinner table when they were younger, and we'd all have our meals together. It's funny.
What do you want? It was, what do you want for your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to, I know we've talked about it in a previous podcast, but I want to reiterate it here because I think for me, this is what I do on a regular basis. If I go outside and my car doesn't start, I can get upset in that moment. Like, oh, ugh. But I find myself going, God, I know this is going to be inconvenient. It's going to cost me something to get this fixed. But thank you, I have a car. That's kind of where I try to get myself to. And so sitting around the table, the kids around birthday or Christmas, the kids would be like, Dad, what do you want for Christmas? And I would put on that deep thought face. Let me think. Oh, you know what I would really love? I would love to have a house that's warm at night and cool in the summer, warm in the winter. And Dad, you already have that.
Yeah,
and we go through all these things.
I wish I had some kids.
Right.
Or
I wish I had a beautiful wife, or I wish I had a TV that I could watch football. Dad, you already have that. What do you really want? And by the end of the conversation, everybody was all full of joy in all the things
I wish
that
I had
they
a
had
table
right.
that we could eat dinner on.
Yeah, and they're
already
all
have
going
that.
through these things that we already have. And Jolie, we already have that. So, but it was such a great. I always at the end of those meals, always was like, that was what I was trying to accomplish, was get us all on that page. That just because it's my birthday doesn't mean you owe me anything. I don't deserve anything. In fact, I already have far more than I deserve because. Honestly, if we're being really honest,
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I should be going, man, I wish I had a TV. Man, it'd be so fun to have a car that started every time. God doesn't owe me any of those things is what I'm saying. They're all blessings. And the fact that I already have them is amazing, right? I'm not like longing for them. It's amazing.
Well, that's where your example to me, Joe, has been so strong and so influential in my life too. Because again, I probably came in with more deservingness only because again, I wasn't spoiled for sure, but I was still given good things in my life to want to say, I deserve good things. I deserve a good husband. I deserve a good life. I deserve healthy children. And kind of in almost a healthy way. Like that's just what people get when you are a good person, whatever. But living with you and your influence in my life has been so incredible that you have that sense of, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve this. And just having you say that a lot. It's like, no. I was like, I'll fight back with you. Like, babe, you deserve some of this stuff because you've worked really hard and you've done all this good stuff. Like you deserve it, No. But then I kind of living with you, I go, I don't deserve this man who doesn't deserve me. Right? How does that go? I don't deserve a man who feels so undeserving because I know that attitude in you and your ability to not feel owed in the end is this incredible blessing to me that I don't have to walk around going, oh, my husband I can't make him happy and he just deserves this and he's not happy with that and doesn't matter what I do, I can't please him. It's like, man, the fact that you are such an undeserving type person has made my life so rich that I go, oh, I don't really deserve an undeserving husband. I don't know if I got that right, but like it just circles back in each other and makes me more grateful that I have you because you make my life much easier by not being entitled.
I appreciate that.
It's a long little schmirl.
Yeah, and I just want to throw it right back at you and just say...
See, I don't deserve it. Shut the mics off. I don't deserve it.
I love how God puts... when we really trust him and he puts couples together, there is an element of you carry a strength that I don't and vice versa. And so for you, I've learned that there is a big difference between pride and humility, and sometimes pride can look like humility. And living in a world where I don't speak up for the things that I need, and I don't because I think I don't deserve, actually is not humility. That can be a level of
you don't deserve those
pride.
things, but you are allowed to receive them.
Yes, and
So learn
but
to
also
receive.
advocating on behalf of my family,
Yeah.
because there were times when I thought, man, they're my family. Someone else deserves it. When really I should have been a better advocate for our family. So there is very much a downside to that, and that's why I think God, we're a work in progress, and he who started a good work is faithful to complete it, and it'll take a lifetime to get there. So please know that as much as Tara compliments me, I'm far from perfect. But with you, Tara, I have really learned a lot about what true humility looks like, not thinking less of myself or doing without purposefully or suffering or causing others who are depending on me to suffer just because I think I don't deserve it. Humility is thinking of myself less. It's allowing God to work through me and being truly grateful for the things that I have.
Well, and it's okay to want something. Honey,
Yeah.
I would love a new TV.
God says to bring those things to
I
him.
would
Yeah.
love, if you made my favorite dinner, right? I love it. I want it. But once we kind of say, I am entitled to that dinner, I'm entitled to the nicest TV every time a new one comes out, that's what will destroy our marriage versus saying, I want it. And then we go, okay, let me see if I can give that to you. And if I give it to you, you're grateful. And if I can't, you're
So,
still grateful.
I'm going to give a quick example.
I think so.
I know we're wrapping this up.
We're trying.
I don't remember what year it was. We weren't we were doing well financially in the sense that we had savings, but we weren't having a new
Rolling in it.
TV was a stretch. And I remember in January of whatever year this was, you asked me an interesting question. You said, "Hey, is there anything you're wanting this year?" And we were beginning to work through this idea of being able to express our wants and our needs and growing in God in that way. I'm not saying I'm entitled to it, but this would be really cool. And so I mentioned to you a widescreen, flat TV.
Yeah,
they were starting to come in. They were already on the market and stuff. And I had been in places where they were HD TV. That's what it is. And I said, man, HD, high definition television.
Like, what?
Because we had an old tube at the time, old tube TV, which was still a great TV.
Grateful.
I mean, God is really good. But I said, it would be awesome. I said, it would take up less room in your living room. and to watch sports on an HD TV would be amazing. So I said, yeah, that's probably the thing. I would love to do that. That would be awesome. I really didn't anticipate it. I wasn't really thinking about it. We just continued to live our lives in a conservative where money was going into savings for other things. But on my birthday that year, do you remember what you did? Yeah.
It's like, go get it.
Came to me and you said, I want you to go get that TV. And what was so cool about it is you could have gone and gotten it and had it wrapped up or whatever, but you knew I had been researching it for years. I knew exactly where it was in the price range to get the most for what we wanted to do. But it was such an amazing gift. I can't even explain it.
Well,
I mean,
the funny thing
there are
is
still
this.
days. That was 15 years ago. There are
more
still
than that.
days that I'm watching the TV and I thank God for that moment. I'm
Yeah.
like, can you believe,
But again-
this is my conversation with God. Can you believe my wife did that?
You
Thank
easily,
God.
though, could have went to say, I deserve it. Because also at that point in the game, you were the primary and the sole breadwinner of our family. So you were
And
earning.
I was working a couple jobs.
You were earning
and
every dollar that came out, working side jobs to make it work. And so you easily could justify it to say, hey, I'm working extra hard, right? I'm the one making this money, so to speak. I deserve to spoil myself with this. And it wasn't this, and you could have even just said, what the heck, I'm not even gonna ask my wife, or just, I'm gonna go get it and just let the chips fall where they may. And that would have caused a level of destruction to our marriage versus saying, I make sure it's something that we're both on tune with, and I'll treat it as a gift. And for you to be able to be grateful to me about that. I'm like, well, I didn't really earn the money for that, but yeah, sure, I'll give it to you.
But you surprised.
But it was that element of giving
You surprised me
and being
so
grateful.
much that day. And
Yeah.
It was an amazing thing. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? No, you should go get it. Go
Anyway.
get it. This will be fun.
So
So
finding
anyway, I
things to
want
be
to say
grateful
thank
for,
you.
big things and small things.
We don't get it right
Yes.
all the time,
Yeah.
and I will say that probably 98% of our conflict is an unmet expectation where I'm thinking for some reason I deserve something or vice versa. So we don't always get it right, but I am grateful that I am married to someone who is very, very grateful.
And when we don't get it right, we talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So there we go.
All right, here we go.
I'm
So
grateful.
I'd love to hear from you.
What are you
have
grateful for?
thoughts? Want to further discuss some of the things we're talking about? Please drop us a line anytime. You can do that. Tara, Tara, at behindoursmiles.com. And by the way, that email address is always in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we appreciate you. Would also love to know what makes you smile
Your
about
iPod.
your husband
What do
and
you-
wife, because again,
That's
a
gratefulness.
level of gratitude.
That's
yes.
gratitude for the little things and the big things. Thank you so much for joining us.
And we truly hope you and your family have a very wonderful Thanksgiving. Unless you're listening to this on Friday, we hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Behind Our Smiles is a Wow God production. Discover more at wowgod.com.